Hi everybody, it's Grace. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. I'm sure you've noticed the difference between a desire that is incredibly exciting and wonderful and you've been waiting to go to that trip for 10 years. You've been thinking off and on that you would do it, and finally here it comes after all the reading and planning and ideas. You're going to get on the plane tomorrow. It's just been this long-awaited dream of a lifetime, and off you go, and you're just clapping your hands with excitement. This fabulous thing that's about to happen, and you experience the joy of this moment now. And I'm not talking about adding in anxiety and disturbance about what potentially could go wrong, which the mind is so good at doing. It's just worried about your survival, right? Those kind of thoughts coming in. I'm not talking about those that do get added even in the situation like I just mentioned. But just the thrill of something wonderful is happening, and you're on the beginning step of it. You've just taken the first step on the bridge, and it's wonderful. Even the contemplation stages can be exciting when you have a desire or a want that feels fun like that. Then there's the other kind of desire that we're really all here together for, which is all about wanting, craving, and the awareness of the lack of the thing being acute and intense and deep. I do not have it. I want it and I don't have it. And then all that energy that gets put on a food item, or the urge to just simply eat, even if the item isn't necessarily clear. So, of course, I'm totally thrilled and excited because my annual Eating Peace retreat just ended. So I got to spend 5 days with people in the most deep immersion of any retreat really I do. I love inquiry retreats that are general and where people are gathered to do the work, to identify things we feel upset over, and those are amazing. But this, because of the added specific topic of eating and compulsion, I spend basically 12 hours with people every day. And we eat together, we're in silence together, we move about together and walk together. It's really a most profound and beautiful thing, and it doesn't seem to work any other way. There can be little breaks, but they're kind of done at the same time or done with a certain principle in mind. Not really the kind of breaks that you often have on retreat settings where off people go for like an hour or an hour and a half by themselves, usually to eat meals. We do that together. So it's a lot of time, but there is silence. So there's a great deal of support and not a requirement to be a certain way or to share a certain thing or to act in any particular manner. We're doing our work and it's deep. So I just came off of that this past week, and it's always incredibly inspiring. I just love it. And one thing we all became aware of and looked at and studied and investigated and explored is the kind of craving that happens when you want something and you can't have it, or part of your mind says you can't have it. Maybe you've got the brakes on and the gas pedal on at the same time. But the agony of a desperate feeling of craving. I thought I'd share that with you all today. And I'm going to give you a summary of it that I share with the people in the Eating Peace Retreat that you can download, and it'll be below this link. So, craving exercise, how to work with craving. So you think of an item, a specific item that you love and you find yourself eating over and over again. So there's common kinds of foods that people will share with me: sugary things, specific sweet things, coffee, alcohol. I mean, you could apply this to cigarettes and smoking, or being sexual for people that have kind of compulsive sexual process. Other process addictions, which are more behavior instead of a substance that you're ingesting, even cleaning, even getting things done and accomplishing the list. Not that I would know anything about that. But there you are. It's like something that has to happen. But we're talking about, in this situation, craving food. There's a certain food item. So you can think of an item that you find very compelled to eat when you're not hungry, when it seems to be like a mouth hunger and a mind hunger, not a body hunger. So consider that particular item. Now you can answer this question. What do you think it will give you when you eat it? And look at the positives and the negatives. Sometimes we'll know, I know already, I know that it's going to give me a feeling of bloatedness or thickness. It's going to make my stomach feel sick. It's going to hurt my joints. I won't sleep well. All the kinds of things that we already know and we've logged in, and we hate that. We hate that it brings us those things because the other things are so pleasurable and so joyful and so interesting. Maybe not joyful, like so filled with craving and kind of pleasure that, I don't know, seems worth it. It overrides those other things that we don't like. I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm breathing in an incredible amount of toxins, and it's proven that I 9 out of 10 times could get lung cancer by doing this, but it's worth it because of this addictive pattern, and the craving is so intense. So what's the promise? What will it give you? And to really look and see what it will give you. Don't begin the flogging process of yourself. That's the thing that actually keeps us from awareness. That's self-criticism. It's incredible. It will pile in, and it's sort of a strategy to remain blind. So just remember that this self-criticism, I'm doing it wrong, there's something wrong with me, oh look at what a mess I am, and in all the flavors and terrible forms that takes, is actually a way not to see. So just let yourself, okay, thank you for sharing, and we're going to see what it does promise. So for example, sweetness and sugar. It will have this taste on my tongue. It will melt into my mouth. I will feel the end of this incredible craving, this desire to have this thing tasting in my mouth. The feeling of consuming. I used to notice that sometimes a taste was all good and everything, but the actual swallowing of something about the process of swallowing. I once was working with a woman who amazingly had run out of food and didn't have access to any kinds of food anywhere in the place that she was staying, which was fairly remote. I think she had intentionally gone off to be there. I'm not sure. I did that myself once. And she found herself opening a freezer that only had frozen peas for human consumption, and she was eating them. She was eating frozen peas, even though nobody likes to eat frozen peas. Nobody really wants to taste that. It's not something that fits in the department of, big factory foods that are created just so that people want them, which is something sometimes we're contending with. But this was frozen peas, and that she was going through the motions, even if she didn't enjoy the food very much, of eating. Because eating was worn as such a deep groove for coping with herself and her feelings and her life and her thoughts and her ways of approaching that moment. And I was just really struck by that, because I remembered similar feelings myself, that it almost sometimes doesn't even matter what the food is. The actual process of eating and consuming something. I think of eating too sometimes as you're dramatically becoming one with something. It's almost violent. As I joked, I said you're masticating during the eating peace retreat, and somebody said it sounds very scientific, but you're just chewing something up and completely destroying it that's in the outside world, and taking it in to the inside of your body and dramatically becoming one with it and consuming it. It's like you are kind of this powerful thing that's just drawing something in through your actions, taking it in and becoming one with it. It's becoming one with you. It is inside of you. It's very interesting to just think of the symbol of that, or the experience of it. So just explore and really consider, if you were trying to explain to angels from outer space somewhere, or alien from another planet, or somebody who wasn't human, or somebody who lived 1,000 years ago, who's never heard of this trouble out on the savannah. What is it that is really just amazing? You were saying, yeah, we lived in this time on planet Earth where It was so great to eat something. And this is what it was like to eat. You would put it in your mouth, this sugary thing. My example is sugar, and take it in, and then what would you feel in your body? And what's the promise? What does it seem like will be wonderful? Sometimes it's just this connection and contact and blending and at one-ment and connection, I already said connection, but you got it. It's like adjoinment somehow. Plus, people get really, really interested in the ending of the craving. This craving of like reaching for something. I speak about this before, but when you're reaching something that you don't have, if you get it, wow, for a second, you've got it. Now you are on your way home with that item, or if you're an eater and you've done like I have in the past, there's food on your front passenger seat and you're starting to eat it before you even get anywhere. Finally, you just feel like this relief of solving this craving problem. So very interesting and helpful to write down what the promise is. And then what does it promise? You have your qualities that it promises: sweetness, relaxation, rest, a blending with something, connection. So eating this sugar promises an experience of sweetness. Now you can take that to inquiry using the 4 questions. Is that actually true? Will I feel sweet and comfortable and rested and connected? Will eating sugar actually bring me that? Maybe for a bite, really ask yourself that. Maybe for a couple bites, I will get that. But you can test it out and see if it's really, really true. You can also wonder about it. You don't even have to try it to notice. I can't find that it's absolutely true. I really don't know if it would bring me that. I've noticed sometimes I eat something that I really, really have loved, and it's not that big of a deal. And the taste of food just simply isn't that exciting anymore. And that's actually fine with me. It's good. It's in its rightful place. It's not the most thrilling thing in the day. It's lovely and wonderful to eat, and it provides energy. It's even extremely pleasurable to eat something, even just on the go, eat something, as my body seems to need it. But then it's over and it's not that exciting, not like it used to be, with holding so much more than what seemed to be like a normal amount of energy around that food and eating. So then the 4 questions, how do I react when I believe eating this sweet food will bring me sweetness or rest, comfort, a time out from what I'm doing, assisted energy in completing the task. And I could almost say, do I have to complete that task? Is that true? Is that required for me to be happy? Do I need to keep working? It's impossible to rest in the moment. Is that true? Just take a look. How do I react when I believe this story? Who would I be if I didn't believe the thought? If I couldn't think this thought? If I wasn't able to believe it to be true? Part of you is already unable to believe it's true, that food brings so much more than just taste, the pleasure of eating and the taste and what this food provides. That's over very quickly with only a bite or two, or however many bites. It's done. So who would you be without that thought? Connect more with that part that's aware of who you'd be without the thought, because you really are okay whether there's food there or not. You might notice. Many of you watching this aren't in a place where there is genuinely not enough food to eat. Even if there wasn't, are you okay? Do you notice you're all right except with your thinking? You might just get sleepy and slow down and become very still if you really genuinely did not have enough food to eat. But if you didn't have this item to eat, usually it's free choice. and there's plenty everywhere. Who would I be without the thought that if I eat that, that's the stepping stone to get to that other state of mind or feeling state, or that it promises it's going to bring me that thing that I think is going to promise, like the end of the craving even. Who would I be without the thought that it for sure is going to be satisfying and settle me down and stop the craving? Very, very interesting, right? Becomes less like, could I be wrong? I know sweetness, eating sweet things, is very, very temporary, and I don't know if it ever actually fully worked. What I was seeking from it didn't actually work. Kind of was so off balance that it almost cracked itself right apart. Unable to provide, definitely barking up the wrong tree. Unhappy, sacrificing, noticing that was the case, the actual case, overeating too much or eating things that didn't work with my body. So then you can turn it around. Eating this sweet food will make me feel sweet. Eating this sweet food will not make me feel sweet. It will make me feel sour. It will not make me feel sweet. How is that just as true or truer? You might easily have examples. And another turnaround would be eating this sweet, I believe, will make my thinking sweet. My thinking will become sweeter by getting involved with this food, by consuming this food, and we know that's not true. So I want something sweet. I want sweeter thinking. Is there another way that I can notice that I'm rested and peaceful and have access to whatever sweetness is and stop tasks or rest or relax in whatever it is that I'm doing? There might be activity going on. Can I just relax and rest? Some of you have heard, if you've seen other videos, my lie down. Lie down. Somebody in the Eating Peace retreat said, play dead, like you're a little puppy dog. Same kind of principle as lie down. It's just find yourself, tensing up and doing all that we do around a craving growing, and saying, oh my gosh, you need this. Oh my gosh, you need this. You can use it as a message board for stopping what you're doing, unhooking from what you're doing or your other thoughts that you think are going on that aren't so sweet and aren't so rested, and actually question those. So bringing yourself down to some sense of peace, noticing the peace in the moment, and noticing that eating something is not required for the craving to actually end. It isn't. Those cravings come and go like waves. It takes a lot of work to keep them up at a high level. And other things, adjusting other things, questioning other thoughts can often loosen, relax, and completely dissolve the need for craving in the first place. So enjoy working with this craving exercise. Just go through one item at a time. You can even get some of it and put it right in front of you on the table. See if you can bring the strength up, the craving feeling up, and seeing where it is and what temperature it is and what part of your body it affects and where it lives in the world, in the space between you and this thing. And just study it and investigate and explore. Question your thinking. Without that thinking, when you become aware of what is true and what is not, it is quite stunning and quite liberating. All right. Take care, everybody. Let me know how it goes.